Hello world, this is Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake, coming to you with episode 1 of the Tales of Trio Tapu Volt. This is a unique deck list that unfortunately I can't really claim as my own. I got it from the Team Fish Knuckles channel, link in the description below, and they got it from someone who just barely missed Top Cut at, I believe it was the Birmingham Regionals, might have been Madison. I've seen pretty good success with the build prior to the edit I just made, which I think will help it even more. And an older version I saw decent success with as well. I'll note that probably 10 of the losses here were to Metagross because the deck really struggled with Metagross and I didn't have any techs in place to help that match. I do now. So we'll discuss those. I find that this version is much more consistent for me than the version that runs VS. And I think that's cool because it's a unique version as well. So let's dig in. First thing you'll see, we're playing a one-of copy of Shaymin-EX, just to draw cards when you play Shaymin to your bench. Obviously, we're approaching rotation in a couple of months, and that's the first change. Shaymin becomes a third Lele. Then we've got 3 copies of Grubbin. In previous builds, I've had 4 copies of Grubbin. In fact, the change I just made was to switch this back to 3 in order to make room for this Mew that we'll get to. We have a 1 copy of Charjabug in the deck, and just there as an evolution step that we're going to use sometimes, but most of the time we're going to be using Rare Candy. And then we have 2 copies of Baby Vikavolt in here purely for the strong charge ability. I say purely. Every once in a while we'll use the electro cannon attack, but mostly for the strong charge ability, where you attach a grass energy and a lightning energy from your deck to any of your Pokemon in any combination, any way you want. That's nice. It can lead you to attach 3 energies per turn with 1 Vikavolt out, or 5 energies in a turn with 2. And then we also play 1 copy of Vikavolt GX. So he's in here primarily as that tech against Metagross. He's resistant to Steel, so Metagross has to hit him that many more times, although it's a 2-hit KO either way, so I guess that's not really that different. But no matter what Metagross does, he can Kukui, he can throw on a Choice Band, it doesn't matter, he's not going to take out Vikavolt in 1 hit. And generally what you'll be doing is powering up as quickly as you can, and then using the Gigatron GX attack to do 60 damage to their entire field, which puts everything until they heal it within 1-hit KO range using the Super Zap Cannon attack. Super Zap Cannon does discard 2 energy, but you can obviously overload this so that you don't have to discard, and you can also use the first attack to get an extra energy attached. If you can't manage to get the 180 hit, you can use Charge Beam and hit for 50 and get more energy out of the discard pile, which is kind of clutch that way. Obviously with Choice Band, these numbers go up. It becomes 80, this becomes 210, which can be good numbers. So it looks like I have 6 tradable copies of Vikavolt GX, so I'll do a giveaway. The first person who leaves a meaningful comment gets a Vikavolt GX. Meaningful excludes comments like first, or comments that include a link, or comments that just say thanks. Stepping back a second to Baby Vikavolt, we do have the Electro Cannon attack here too that hits for 150. He is also resistant to Steel, and also so that lowers Metagross's damage from being 150 down to 130. And also He has 150 hit points, meaning Metagross can't one-shot him. But he is discarding 3 energy for that 150. And if Metagross happens to play Kukui, Choice Band doesn't work because this is not a GX. But Kukui could get them there. Anyway, on to the more meat of the deck. Relies heavily on Vikavolt's Strong Charge paired with Tapu Bulu, where we see a single grass energy attack for 30, and then a 3 energy, 2 grass, and a colorless Nature's Judgment attack to do 120 damage, with the option to discard all 3 energies to do an extra 60. So that puts you up to 180, KOing most basic GXs and EXs. Occasionally you'll have to go higher than that, and that's where Choice Band comes in, and you can hit up to 210. We also have the Tapu Wilderness GX attack, which does 150 or 180 with Choice Band, and heals your Pokemon, heals this Pokemon completely. All of that can be pretty nice. We play a single copy of Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko's in here for a few reasons. One, the ability can kind of take things over if something is stuck in the active and you don't have any way to retreat. Lysandre stalls are a big thing that people tried to do to beat this deck, because you set up faster than them and then they try to Lysandre stall you. Well, if you have a Tapu Koko come in, you can pop in, get a couple energy on and retreat, or you can pop in and start attacking. He also has 2 attacks, obviously. One is 2 lightning and a colorless, and that hit the Sky Claws hits for 130. This can be kind of clutch in certain situations where your opponent is playing baby basics that have 130 hit points. Tapu Bulu will only be hitting for 120 unless you discard energy, whereas Tapu Koko hits for 130. So that can be the difference between having to discard 3 energy when you want to get a KO on a basic non-EX or not. Then we also have the Tapu Thunder GX attack, which can really help get some of those big KOs. So if like a Solgaleo is in the active and he's used his GX attack to attach all kinds of energy, you can pop in your Tapu Koko and then you can use your GX attack and one-hit kill the Solgaleo. If there's a fully charged up Metagross in the active and he's got some energy on his bench as well, then you can pop in Tapu Koko, hit the GX attack, one-hit KO on a Metagross. We have a one-of copy of Mew. Again, I just put this card in the deck, so I haven't specifically seen how it's worked through results, but I've heard lots and lots of good things from other good players in my testing group. And basically, you're using Mew for a couple of things. One, you can get your Pokemon out this way. 2, and more importantly, you can use the attacks of any of your other basic Pokemon as long as you have the energy. So you can use Tapu Koko's attack. You can use Tapu Bulu's attack, which both of those mean you can one-hit KO Espeons for 3 energy, and that's pretty huge in that matchup. You don't have to worry about getting a Choice Band to hit that 200 number. The free retreat also helps. We talked about Lysandre stalls being a thing. Sure, if no one's going to Lysandre up your Mew and leave it alive, but having a free retreater that you can stick out there reliably once a KO takes place, that can be pretty clutch as well. We've got a one-of copy of Oricorio that's basically attack against Vespiquen. Once a rotation happens and Vespiquen is gone, this might be replaced by a baby Tapu Koko, or it might stay, because the ability to stick damage counters on any of your opponent's Pokemon can be pretty good. There are some situations, though, where hitting the entire field a couple of times would be more relevant, so it can go either way. And then finally, we have Tapu Lele in with the Wonder Tag ability. They're exclusively to get supporters, unless you're in that weird situation where you don't have a better attacker. Somehow I was in a match against a Decidueye deck at one point. I couldn't get any Tapu Bulus out to save my life. I think 2 of them were prized, maybe even all 3. So what did I do? Well, while they were setting up, I just kept attaching energy to Lele, and by the end of the game, I was one-hit KOing their last Decidueye, hitting for 240. So it can work out pretty well. We'll expand this out and look at the rest of the deck. We've got a single copy of Energy Recycler. I've played around with this. Sometimes I prefer it to be 2 copies. Right now, we're running 1 copy, but I could very easily see reason to take something else out to get another copy of this card in there, because you're discarding energy a lot. The thought was that I only need 1. The thought was it gives you 5 energy back. So if you've discarded with Bulu to hit 180 or 210 once, that gets you a KO. If you attach again and discard, that should get you another KO on a GX. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're hoping for. If you do it a 3rd time, you're going to be running low on energies. Then you can play this card. That should again get you a KO. Could very well get 2 more uses. So you're using 5 hits for 180. So hopefully 1 copy is enough. But certainly times when you use Sycamore, it can be painful if you lose too much energy that way, or if you lose the Energy Recycler, or if it's prized. But thankfully, usually by the time you need this, you're late enough in the game that it could be coming out of your prizes if it's prized. Way too much time spent talking about that card. Field Blower, primarily in here to get tools off of Garbotoxin, in order to allow us to attach energies to Tapu Bulu. We've got Heavy Ball in here, which, for those of you not in the know, lets you get a Pokemon with a retreat cost of 3 or more, which is Bulu, Vikavolt, and Charjabug in this deck. That can be pretty useful, because if you have a Rare Candy and a Skyla in your hand, you Rare Candy for Heavy Ball, and you got them. Rare Candy, of course, being how you can get from Grubbin to Vikavolt without the intermediate step. We also have a Nest Ball, just helping you get basics onto your board. 4 Rare Candy, like we just talked about, pretty important for skipping that step. We play 2 switches to help out with those Lysandre stall situations. 4 Ultra Ball, get out anything. 1 copy of Brigette along with a copy of Pokemon Fan Club, just to give yourself options. If you want to just get out a bunch of Pokemon, go with Brigette. If you need to be able to use abilities, so like Koko, Lele, or Shaymin, then you go with Fan Club. I could see argument for decreasing this count, switching to just having 1 or the other. But I think the flexibility is nice if you can keep the room. Hex obviously helps out in certain situations, primarily turning off Metagross's ability for a turn. We play 2 copies of Lysandre to help us choose our targets, 2 copies of N for the shuffle draw, only 2 copies of Sycamore, because we don't want to be losing a lot of these cards. Everything's in here for a purpose. And more importantly, we can actually use Skyla to do kind of a surgical target on the cards that we need. Skyla is very clutch here for getting Heavy Ball, or Rare Candy, or Choice Band, or Energy Recycler right when you need it. In some cases, Switch. In some cases, a Floatstone to attach to your Vikavolt in that Lysandre situation. obviously Choice Band, outbuild our damage against GXs, and Floatstone for the free retreat, primarily on a Vikavolt. Finally, we play 7 grass energies and 5 lightning energies. Having the lightning energies be up there in count is pretty important, actually, because you want to be able to attach 2 extra energies in a given turn, so that you can go manual grass attachment and then ability with Vikavolt to get a grass and something else. The something else is lightning. If you don't have enough lightning in your deck, then all you're getting is a second grass, and that's not enough to attack with. So with that, we're finished with this deck list. We will be back soon with a match featuring this deck. And without further ado, this is Jeffrey, JGB146, signing off.